Hello watch enthusiasts and welcome to Watch Chronicler. In today's episode, I'd like to discuss and review a rather interesting watch from Horage, which I've been wearing over the last few weeks, the Multiply. And this is one of the most customisable luxury watches which I've been able to find, and with some genuinely unique features at its core. It's also a watch which at its price range doesn't seem to have any equal in terms of features, construction and technology, but I'll come to that later on in the video. Of course, I would like to make it very clear that Horage has sponsored this video, but as per my belief in the need for integrity and also my agreement with Horage, I'll endeavour to be entirely honest about this watch. After all, there's no real use for a review otherwise. Before I begin, follow us on Instagram and head over to watchchronicler.com to catch all the latest articles, videos and podcasts. Over the last few months, regular viewers will have seen Watch Chronicler content about Horage. Here's a brand offering something genuinely new to an industry and a market steeped in and sometimes shackled by tradition. However, in a time of change as we see today, Horage really is a breath of fresh air. With this in mind, the new Multiply might be the best example of customisation currently available in the luxury watch segment, especially in an area which is still reasonably accessible to the average enthusiast. You see, the Multiply actually comes in 48 variants. These variants aren't however arbitrary, but rather are based upon the features inherent to the K1 movement inside this watch, an in-house product to Horage. Now, I've produced a video entirely about this movement previously, as it may well be the answer to what the watch industry has been looking for as a replacement for the ageing and ever less accessible ETA 2824. This movement is based upon work done in-house at Horage and sister brand Teos as THE+, which in turn worked on some principles explored by Eterna. After 3 production runs, these movements have seen all issues ironed out as a reliable, durable and thoroughly refined 4Hz automatic movement with a 65-hour power reserve and a silicon escapement. Most importantly though to this watch is the fact that it's an inherently modular movement, with the power reserve indicator, small seconds and large date being displayed on the movement without having to add modules, thus keeping the watch relatively slender. As a result, when you choose which Multiply to have, you can choose any or all of these complications, as on this example here. Despite having an elegant appearance, the Multiply is very much an everyday watch. In this aim, it has a nice large dial on a case 41mm at the bezel. Even so, the lug-to-lug length is so short at 45mm that I think that almost any man's wrist could wear it. Of course, there is a slight downside to having such short lugs, which is that curved spring bars are needed to be used in order to fit a strap to the case, and thicker leather straps might fit slightly tightly, which is something to pay attention to, but I think this is a fairly minor price to pay for the comfort afforded to a watch of this size with such short lugs. Now, for a similar movement configuration to the Array, what you could see as the smaller brother to this watch, it is a more expensive piece, but I think this is largely down to the complex finish and construction of the case. The case is given a very finely brushed bezel, with a thin raised polished rim around the crystal and a polished edge. The purpose of the rim allows the double-domed sapphire crystal to be protected from sharp knocks, but also adds visual interest to the piece. Looking at the side of the watch, you see a brushed inner surface with visual pillars to connect the 2 halves of the watch, which mirror the screws which run through the case itself. The result is a 100-metre water-resistant watch with a thickness of 11mm. One detail which should be noted is that once you've deducted the case back and the domed crystal, both of which disappear once on the wrist, the watch only feels about 9mm thick, which really helps the proportions. Jutting out from the side of the case is a crown which shows the very appealing individuality across the models made by Horage. You see, it's not only a unique size in the collection, but also a unique design, with a raised central section and a polished surface. As with the case, it is larger and a bit more masculine than the crown of the Array, but also helps to give a good grip. A sense of unified design continues onto the dial. Now, I recognise that the dial of this complete version won't be for everyone, with the sheer number of features present cluttering up the dial if you don't like that sort of thing. However, the beauty of this is the ability to have exactly the features which you do want. Looking beyond the features, the dial itself comes in several executions. The most simple but also the most bright is blue, whilst a sunburst silver gives a classic and refined look. The finish on this example is the most complex, with a checkered pattern embossed into the dial. The result is quite unlike anything else on the market, since the peaks are glossy and the indentations are matte, which is rather different from the tapisserie dials which we're used to in this checkered format. Looking at this watch head on, you almost wouldn't notice the pattern, but when the light hits the dial at an angle, The details become very clear and give a sense of refinement which I think is expected at this price range. Applied to the dial are polished markers which, like the previously shown array, feature an angled construction and plenty of superluminova. The angular and sharp form of these markers matches the hands very well, which, if anything, are even more intricate. These feature a central lume plot flanked by stepped and beveled edges. An important aspect for an everyday watch is of course legibility, and courtesy of this luminescence, this watch leaves nothing to be desired, and has been thoroughly usable in terms of wearing this watch throughout the day and the night, and always having a good view of the time. My only criticism is that the hands seem a little bit narrow, and when not under direct light, the hands on the subdials can become difficult to read due to their polished surface. If complications are something you enjoy, then this watch is very much directed towards your market, given the care taken to present each of the 3 additional features. The small seconds, sitting on a lower level to the rest of the dial, are legible, whilst the large date is a curious and relatively uncommon feature. However, the most exciting feature for me, given the long 65-hour power reserve as a major feature of this movement, is the skeletonized power reserve indicator at 6. So what is the Multiply next to other watches from Horage? Well, it certainly isn't a dress watch and it isn't a sports watch either. Instead, it's a watch which gives you a very good mix of both for daily life. Now, the price of this watch depends considerably upon which features you choose to have. For a version with small seconds, the price starts at 2,100 francs, with the price for the model shown being 3,300 francs. Which you choose is of course a matter of opinion, but for me the complications really add to the watch and make this piece worth choosing over other Horage models if you're interested. At this price, the Horage Multiply has some serious competition as a multi-purpose watch for everyday wear. From Tudor, the North Flag offers a comparable power reserve indicator, luminous display and water resistance. However, its thickness, lack of alternative strap options, and more technical aesthetic gives it less versatility. The other piece which springs to mind is the Nomos Metro Date power reserve, but again this doesn't fit with lesser legibility, minimal water resistance and inferior movement, aiming to be more of a dress watch than the everyday piece which I think this Multiply is. In truth, if you want a watch with this level of complication in this format, usable every day, and at this particular price range without paying more, I think this is the watch for you. Tell me what you think of the Horage Multiply in the comments section, as I'm very curious to hear what you have to say, because I really can't find a clear competitor for this watch in terms of offering the same features and the same quality, and also the same refreshing nature in terms of a new design and a new approach to watchmaking. Thank you very much for watching, and remember to like, share and subscribe. This is Armon from WatchChronicler.com, out.